my name is Sharina Chantel, and this is the place where we believe in living to bless and not impress, and where we talk all things faith, life, and entrepreneurship. I am so excited because in today's video, we're going to be talking all about celibacy. Basically, why would someone choose to go celibate? What are the benefits of living celibate, as well as some practical tips on being celibate. And I want you to know that this is coming from the perspective of a single Christian woman who loves Jesus. But even if that's not you at the moment or where you're at, I want you to feel invited to be a part of this conversation, because there are many different reasons why people choose to go celibate. Sometimes people have had one too many heartbreaks, one too many situationships. You know, there's many different reasons, or they just want to do this as a personal choice. Jesus is my why, but we're going to talk about it. Okay? All right. So let's be clear. Sex was God's idea. Think about that. Let that simmer. Sex could have been a handshake. It could have been an interlock thing where at the 10-second mark you get pregnant. It could have been a dutiful thing that we just have to do as adults, like taxes. You know what I mean? That could have been sex. But no. God designed it the way he did for a reason. Okay? He designed it that way. And if he designed sex, he's clearly not against pleasure. If God was anti-pleasure, your body would look very different. So when you understand, okay, God, this is your design, this is what you had in mind, then it just makes you trust him more. You're like, okay, I can bring this area to you, all of me to you, because this was your idea. It's not too much for God. He's not like, oh girl, what? Please, like that's not God. And some people, their way of staying celibate was to equate sex with being bad, and then they get married, and it's very difficult to like switch that switch on for some people when they've conditioned themselves to think of sex as bad. So I think even as a single Christian woman, it's so important that you have a healthy perspective on sex, and you know that sex is God's gift within a parameter, within the context of marriage. That was to, as our protection, you protect what you value. So as we know, sex can be used destructively. It's not just physical. But anyway, I don't want this to be like preaching on you. This isn't to preach to you, okay? It's just to remind us that sex was God's idea. Sex is a good thing, and that he puts parameters around there, and he gives us free will, but those parameters are for our benefit. They're for our good. The deception is that God's trying to withhold good from us, when really he's protecting us to keep things good. Okay, what are some of the benefits of living celibate? All right, there are so many. But okay, okay. Another thing. So I had a conversation with someone, and long story short, she was just kind of like, she's a believer, she loves God, but she was just kind of like, I'm struggling with communicating the why behind two people not having sex, other than like God said so. Now, because I love God, like he has that authority over my life, so him saying so is enough, you know? But if you wanted to take this deeper, so if there's two believers, two followers of Jesus, who both say, I'm gonna live celibate, and they both communicate that to each other, that we are gonna do this thing celibate. Now, this can help you. Have this in the back of your mind to help you. Now, provided that you both said that to each other, you're both on the same page, that you don't wanna have sex before marriage. When your flesh is tempted to kind of press those buttons a little bit, think about this. If you both verbally came to that agreement and then you have sex, you are planting seeds of mistrust in your own marriage. How, Sway? Well, let me tell you. Because what you just communicated with each other is, I'm okay with having sex with someone who isn't my wife. I'm perfectly fine having sex with someone who isn't my husband. And now when you do get married, and let's say he has to go on a business trip, or you have to go on a business trip, or there's like a really cute secretary in the picture, even though he's telling you, I'm not going to do anything, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I can't trust your word. Because when push comes to shove, your body's going to do what your body's going to do. The same way it was done with me. You see how it like turns back and bites you? It's crazy. And this only applies to two people who have made that commitment to each other. Now, that's not to say that if you did fall or you did end up having sex, that God's not able to restore, and that his grace won't cover you, and that that same grace will empower you not to do it. That's not to say that there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So hear my heart on this. I'm just saying, have that in the back of your mind. If you're tempted, or your flesh is rising up and you're tempted to like provoke someone to have sex, just remember that. Okay, we have a chance to build self-control and build trust. And that's one of the benefits of not having sex before marriage. You grow in trust and respect with the person that you're with. That same self-control that you're developing now as a single person, you're gonna need it in marriage. All right, so let's go through some of the benefits of being celibate. So number one, crystal clear vision, all right? There is nothing clouding your vision. People can use sex as a cover-up like that. You don't really deal with your issues. You don't really solve arguments. You don't really communicate, because sex is just a band-aid for everything. You know, you have to like deal with your stuff, because you can't resort to sex to make it all better. And so it allows you to really see the person for who they are and really get to know them without anything clouding your vision. Another thing too is it allows you to guard your heart on another level. Like when sex isn't on the table, people expose themselves real quick. Like for me, my thing is let people expose themselves. Like celebrate when people expose themselves. Celebrate when people show their true colors. Like it's great, you know? It's great. And let's say you recognize, like in the dating phase, the get to know you phase, you recognize that you're not the best for each other, or you're not really seeing this long term. It's far easier to separate with someone that you haven't had sex with. Another benefit too is you get to just bring your whole self to the table, and you get to make sure that people are in it for you. This is another thing. If you are going to live celibate, know that some people are going to see that as a challenge. Some people are going to see that as like, ooh, that's different. And like, oh, some people just get excited about something that's different. So know that that's the case. Okay, so my tips for living celibate. A huge key to a successful celibate life is self-awareness. You need to be self-aware. You need to know what your triggers are. There's knowing when you feel vulnerable, when you feel susceptible, when you have strong feelings like wanting to have sex. Ow, my foot's asleep. Oh, my foot's asleep. Ah! All right, so if you are wanting to live celibate, girl, do not put any confidence in your flesh, okay? Your flesh will betray you. Like, you cannot put any confidence in your flesh. I don't care how strong you think you are, how self-controlled you think you are. Like the Bible says, pride comes before a fall, and be careful if you think that you're so firm that you won't fall, okay? Because that is like the prescription to falling, having too much confidence in yourself. So just have boundaries and standards that are already in place before you're ever even in a tempting situation. Don't wait till you're in the situation to have boundaries, because it's a lot harder to like try to backpedal than if you just had a standard in place that was clearly expressed, clearly communicated. And that's another thing, communicate your boundaries. Don't just expect or assume that someone knows them, okay? It's so important to communicate your boundaries and have that conversation. Write it down. Also send it to a friend. These are the standards that I'm trying to uphold. These are the places I will not go. These are the people I will not be alone with. Like, write it out. Make it plain. So make sure you have examples around you. And if you don't, like, find them online. Like, just make sure that you're not trying to do this alone. Have people that you could just be real with, that you could just let your hair down with, and that will pray for you as well. Like, I'm telling you, prayer is everything. Okay, so the question is it a challenge for you, or has it just become your new normal? So to be honest, it hasn't been a challenge. Now, that's not to say that I don't, desire to have sex, that it's just, honestly, it's God's grace. It's just the best way I can describe it. It's just, I know that it's God's grace. It is 100% God's grace. Like, He has been with me. He has sustained me. He has gotten me out of traps that I didn't even know were traps at the time. Now, I mean, I can see a trap from a mile away. Like, now my discernment is strong. But God's been so faithful. Like, I think some seasons can be more challenging than others. Like, there's different waves of it. Sometimes I'll have a challenging day, like a day where I'm feeling, a little spicy. And I'm like, Lord, keep all your sons away from me today. Like, I'm gonna stay home. I do have some of those days, but I wouldn't say the whole thing has been a challenge. Like, God's grace like helps me so much. It's not a struggle. It's not like a battle. It really isn't. Like, I just trust him. Like, I trust God, All right, so another question that I've gotten is, what if it's not good or you guys aren't sexually compatible? Now, okay, this question says a lot already. First of all, if we were all living by God's design, ideally, there would be nothing to compare to. So do you even see how like God's plan was also so that we wouldn't be comparing, we would just explicitly know your partner? So, I mean, that is the ideal, but obviously for a lot of people that isn't the case, that isn't the situation. So the thing though is, sex is not meant to be this performance thing. Like, you're not gonna have sex and then someone holds up, that was an 8, like, it's not supposed to be a performance thing, it's just another way that you get to serve each other and connect as husband and wife. So it's like, if you know the purpose of sex the way God's designed it, then it's like, how can you get it wrong though? Like, with everything that you guys have built together. So there could definitely be a lot of expectations that people have, and a lot of expectations that people bring into their marriage concerning sex. But that aside, it's like, you just want to take that person for who they are, and then together you learn, together you grow, together you explore and discover. So I just feel like the way God designed our bodies is compatible. Anyway, so that is my little tea on celibacy and my tips on being celibate. So if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments and I definitely will get back to you. I hope that encouraged you. I hope it showed you a different way. Stay blessed. Mwah.